Good morning, Year 3. So today's TLP is, can I innovate a story? And if you remember from yesterday, all that means you're using the structure of a story we already know, but you're changing some of the details. So you're innovating it. You're using your creativity to change a story into your own ideas. So for this lesson, we will need your English books or something to write on. You'll need your pen or your pencil. And if you've got your copy of Jim and the Beanstalk with you, that will be really handy. So those are the things you need. Okay, now we are going to not write the whole story again because it's quite a long story, but we're going to imagine that Jim is up in the giant's castle and he is asking him about some of our ideas. So we've got, do you remember we thought he might want some nice shiny waterproof boots? Maybe he'd want a new hearing aid because he finds it hard to hear. Maybe he's feeling a bit bored and he'd like a jigsaw. And other ideas, the coat, the binoculars, the walking stick, and so on. So I'm going to start just with one idea. I'm hoping that maybe I'll innovate my story with 2 ideas, maybe even 3 if you're feeling really, really creative, okay? So that will be the challenge for you. So I think I'm going to go with my boots, seeing as that was my first idea and it's the one I thought about the most. So let's go back to the structure of Jim and the Beanstalk. Let me just check that you can see that story. Okay, now, where have we got to? He said, I'm too old. I can't even read my poetry books because the print is too small. So he could say, how could the giant start? I can't even go out in the garden anymore. So he's speaking, so I need my speech marks. Speech marks capital. I can't even go out in the garden anymore. Now, because it doesn't need a full stop, I'm actually going to put a comma in here before my speech marks. I do need some punctuation, so the comma will be there. I can't even go out in the garden anymore, moaned the giant. Now there we put our full stop. My slippers are threadbare and my feet get wet. I love that word threadbare. Really describes how the slippers look. My slippers are threadbare and I might add in an adjective here actually. I could say my giant feet, my huge feet, but it's probably not how he'd describe himself. I'm going to say my poor feet get wet and soggy. My poor feet get wet and soggy. Right, so this is where the giant stops talking. Oops, don't forget that. So I need my full stop and I need my speech marks. I can't even go out in the garden anymore, moaned the giant. My poor slippers are threadbare and my slippers are threadbare and my poor feet get wet and soggy. Right, now let's go back to our story. So what does Jim say when the giant starts complaining? He says about, haven't you got any glasses? So because somebody new has started speaking, I need to go down to the next line because it's Jim. So I'm going to start with my speech marks. Haven't, and if I don't know how to spell haven't, I've got it here. Now haven't is an interesting one because what you're saying really is have not, but because you're leaving out the O to make haven't, you put an apostrophe in instead of the O. That's called a contraction. So, haven't you got any boots? Now that's a question, isn't it? Haven't you got any boots? Question mark. Speech marks. Where are we? Haven't you got any glasses, asked Jim. So I've changed that into, haven't you got any boots? And I'm going to go for asked because that is a good word. Asked Jim. And I put the full stop at the end of the sentence because the question is within my speech. So that's where the question mark needs to be. Haven't you got any boots? Asked Jim. And then he goes, so only beer glasses. Now I can't think of any other boots. So I'm going to say, I've never heard of boots, exclaimed the giant. And again, you've got a contraction here. I've never heard of boots. Exclaimed. And because he's exclaiming, I need my exclamation mark. Nearly forgot it there. Uh-oh. Exclaimed the giant. So full stop. And then he said, and then I might just say, Jim explained all about, Jim explained about Wellington boots. Explained about how boots can keep your feet dry. Now, what does that giant say every single time? He says, get 'em, said the giant fiercely. I get 'em for me, I'll pay good gold. So he's going to say, get 'em, and I'm going to go for boomed. Get 'em, exclamation mark. Speech marks, boomed the giant. I'll pay good gold. So full stop there, new bit of speech. I'll, another contraction. It's because people are talking, and when people talk, they don't say, I will pay good gold. They shorten things, don't they? They run them together, which is why we're getting a lot of contractions. I'll pay good gold. So again, as if by magic, I have created some more of the story. Shall I read it out to you? So Jim measured the giant's smelly feet. The giant gave Jim a huge gold coin, and Jim scuttled down the beanstalk as quick as he could. His mother was amazed by the huge gold coin. Jim rushed to the shoemaker, who could hardly believe made a mistake there, could hardly believe, cross that out, his eyes. I'd written this eyes. Good thing I checked. He worked all night on the giant, majestic, good adjective, shoes, and in the morning they were ready. Jim tied them on his back and scrambled up the beanstalk. The giant loved the shiny black boots and put them on straight away. He stomped up and down the garden, splashing in all the puddles. Okay? So then at that point, I might go on to saying about how maybe he found it hard walking up and down. So maybe this is where he might need a walking stick. Now, actually, interestingly, reading through, I've spotted another mistake I've made. I put shoes here rather than boots. So I'm going to very neatly cross it out and I'm going to put boots. So I'd like you, please, to have a really, really good go at innovating the story. Take your ideas. Take your ideas, I've gone too far back now, about what the giant might like, what the giant might find useful. Use the story to help you with your writing, spellings, how to set it out, what the order of things were, and be very creative. I'd love to see your ideas. So remember, we always look for punctuation, full stops, capital letters, speech marks. We look for interesting verbs like boomed and stomped and splashed. We look for good adjectives, and we look for an interesting and fun story. So have a go. I would say write for about half an hour, 45 minutes, depending on how much you want to challenge yourself. And then I'd love to hear some of these this afternoon. Okay, look forward to seeing you later.